At this point, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Excellency Omar Arouna from Benin. Mr. Arouna is the ambassador of the Republic of Benin to the United States. And in addition to the US, he's also Benin's representative to Mexico, the Organization of American States. He also coordinates country engagement with the World Bank, IMF, and the International Financial Corporation in Washington, D.C. Prior to his appointment, Ambassador Arouna was Executive Vice President of Good Work International, a U.S. multinational partly founded by UN Ambassador Andrew Young, and former aide to Dr. King, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., a civil rights leader. The most important thing I want you to know about Mr. Excellency Arouna is that I had a chance to meet with him a couple of months ago, where he invited me for lunch. And I was really inspired by his story. Being part of the diaspora for over 10, 20 years, and working his way up to be on the other side and be an ambassador of his country in the United States. And when we were planning this event together, we were brainstorming on the kind of individual that could tell both stories, be on a diaspora and have that much impact, and also be on a continent or represent his country in the US and continue to have an impact. And we wanted to have him speak on leadership and his experience. And I was really inspired by it, and I wanted to share that with you guys. And this is why we invited. So please welcome Excellency Omar Arouna. Thank you very much. No problem.
Thank you, Mamadou, for a wonderful introduction. Wow. Excellencies, Ambassador of FAI, Excellency, Ambassador Miguel, Dr. Anthony Wuto, representative of South Africa and Mozambique. Dear Mamadou Samba, thank you for having me here today. I want to start really by thanking Mamadou for his kind introduction. I want to thank him as well for his dedication. This microphone is not doing me any service. Basically, I want to thank him for his dedication and service as a champion for the African diaspora in the nation capital. Please, a round of applause for Mamadou. I commend Mamadou for his leadership and the outstanding job he's doing as the director of the DC Mayor Office on African Affairs. And I congratulate the Mayor's Office on African Affairs for a decade of service to the African community in Washington, D.C. I am also honored to share this podium with good friends that are sitting here and some good friends that also were in the panel or will be in the panel. Of course, I want to recognize our guests of honors, those Yali, these extraordinary young men and men, leaders from Africa that are here today. Please, a round of applause for the Yalis. These young women and men transforming their communities and their country. And let me tell you, I've met some Yali in my days, and I'm always impressed by all of them. This year, Young African ConneXions Summit is exploring leadership, civic engagement, social entrepreneurship. The summit is promoting volunteerism and encouraging advocacy to build community for both continental African and African diaspora community. Dear friend, as you know, the sub-Saharan African population living in the United States is approximately 3.8 million, let's say 4 million. We collectively send back to Africa via formal channel over than 30 billion yearly. We are the most educated immigrants group in the US. More than 43% of us hold a bachelor's degree or higher. I could bore you ad nauseum with similar statistics all day long. But my point is not to gloat over that what might seem to be good indicators of success for our diaspora here in the US, but rather highlight our collective potential for success as community if we only decide to fulfill it. Our potential for success, yes, not quite a success, just the potential. Yes, we must understand that success consists of being successful, not in having the potential of success. Like they say, any wide piece of ground is a potential for palace, but there is no palace until it's built. So, to fulfill our collective potential for success and rise as a strong diaspora in the US, each of us individually must fulfill its own potential for success. In other words, it's your individual responsibility that will enable us as a collective to attain success. As an individual, endeavor to become successful, soon we'll have a successful diaspora in North America. So, how do we do this? How, as an immigrant, can I take the path for success in the United States of America? In case you are wondering, before I became my country's ambassador to the US, I was and still I am a 26-year veteran African immigrant to the US. So I know one or two things about coming to America. Anyway, considering that we are a selfie generation, you know, probably you will understand better my message if I share my own experience with you. So I'll do a selfie on me. so to speak, huh? An insight to my own story and the lesson I've learned might help you pave your own road in fulfilling your full potential for success. Lesson number 1. This is Howard University, so we can act like we are teachers, right? So lesson number 1. Learn new things and be flexible. My goal coming to America was to attend medical school. But I also knew that any career path for me must have African components. Fortunately or unfortunately, I soon realized that medical school was too costly in the US. Obviously, you all know that, right? I didn't know that when I get here. I found it out right here. So, what I did, I must be flexible and ready to learn new things. I enrolled as a computer science major. After graduation, I was able to land an internship at the World Bank group in Washington, D.C. Great. But to my surprise, I was assigned to the mail room to sort mail. So, at that moment, I learned my second lesson. Being frustrated or keep a positive attitude about the situation. The choice was mine. So the lesson I learned was to develop a positive outlook no matter what the circumstances are. Now, few weeks into my internship sorting mail with a degree in computer science, I arranged a meeting with the director of ICT department, and I shared the idea that I could add value to the department and suggested how we could automate process in the mail center for efficiency purpose. Apparently impressed with my idea, he offered me my first contract at the World Bank as an information technology officer. Now I'm doing well. However, few years fast forward, I learned early in my formative years that one must always seek better position or aspire to greater things than he currently holds. I could have just stayed at the World Bank as an information technology officer and have a good life, but will I have a great life? That's the question. So, in French, the expression we use is ne jamais dormir sur ses lauriers, literally meaning, my third lesson to you, never rest on your laurels. Although the income was decent for someone just fresh out of college, I did not have that sense of fulfillment I was expecting working at the World Bank. I was not quite sure where my role or work into the overall ideal of helping with the development of Africa was in that context. Yes, I was working at the World Bank, and the World Bank was working in Africa and helping the continent develop. But as an individual, was I contributing something directly? I could not answer that question positively. Therefore, after 3 years, I decided to leave the organization. With a new lesson, the fourth one in my toolkit. Lesson number 4, have a clarity in your goal. Important. From that last episode at the World Bank, I knew what I wanted, and I was very clear. I would think I was narrowly too clear about my new job search. My first criterion was that anywhere I went had to be an organization with Africa as a primary focus. Better yet, if Africa was the only business of that organization or corporation, then that would have been my perfect job. Luckily enough, I was able to land my next position at one of the U.S. oldest and largest NGO working essentially in Africa. As the network manager, I was able, among other things, to lead successfully the organization's Y2K effort through the 27 African field office. Needless to say that it was a very fulfilling and satisfying experience for me personally. As this is a path for success, I didn't think I should have stopped in my way. So, as you know, to be successful, and that's my lesson number 5 for you, you have to have ambition. Without ambition, there is no success. Therefore, having interacted with Africa for 4 years in my previous job, I felt that I was ready for prime time. Now I have ambition for myself. That's when I knew I was on the right path for success. So, I created my own consulting firm to do business in Africa in the area of information technology, consulting and market access and facilitation. And I then left the organization to practice full-time. With my newfound ambition, my part-time attitude, the stakes are now high because nobody's employing me, I'm employing myself. So, is the risk and the potential for failure. Like any entrepreneur, I only eat what I kill. That's clear enough. So, lesson number 6 comes into play. Failure is inevitable when you are an entrepreneur. But my lesson to you is don't cause failure, but hunt for success. You will fail as an entrepreneur, but don't curse it. Just go for the success. Soon enough, I realized that earning a serious income from startup company, essentially doing business in and with Africa from the US, was not as easy as it appeared. You can sell something in Africa when the money comes back in dollar is no money. You know that. So I found that out soon enough doing business, sitting in the US and trying to do business in Africa. So I had to readjust my plan without giving up. I started also doing business in the US, providing IT support as a way to supplement the income deriving from any project I was doing in Africa. Because the goal for me was to participate in the development of my continent. So the goal has not shifted. The circumstances for me were shifting, but the goal still remained the same. That's how I met my next employer. In fact, during that time, my consulting firm competed and lost against my next employer in a bid for a project that, in my view, would have been a major accomplishment for my career and my ambition, representing and advocating for an African country here in the US. In this case, the Republic of Benin, which was my own country of origin. I lost a bid to become a representative as a lobbyist for Benin in the US against another firm. That was my goal all along. There, I lost it. I lost that opportunity to another firm. What do I do? Lesson number 7. You learn fast in that part. Grab the opportunity even if you don't think it's there before it completely fades away. So I have to think about my next move. Considering that my initial goal didn't change, despite my failure to reach it the first time, I had no other choice to recover quickly from my situation. Afterthought, I arranged a meeting with the bid winner and negotiated to join his team. The firm became my employer and I was put in charge of that project. Now, I was representing and advocating on behalf of an African nation here in the United States before the White House and Congress. Soon enough, I was advocating for a few other African countries and was getting paid for it. Then the call came in, teaching me another lesson. My lesson number 8, giving back. One major part of fulfilling your individual potential and enable us collectively to attain success is to give back. So, for me, becoming the Benin Chief of Mission to the US is my way of giving back to my fellow countrymen. So those are the 8 lessons I would like you to think about this afternoon. Dear friend, these are few lessons I have learned on my own journey to fulfilling my own potential to success. This is not necessarily an absolute recipe for success. Just know that in life, nothing is granted, but nothing is impossible. So, in your own journey, be a risk taker, be persevering, be tenacious, and always think about giving back. Because, and I quote Nelson Mandela, there is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Omar Arouna, for your insightful lessons on becoming a successful leader.